Yeah,
I don't know the name of the group. Translation.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
So according to the grouping last week.
Yes, but me and Ivonda were supposed to be presenting today. Inshallah.
Yeah.
Just a minute, scan the code.
You're with Francisco, with
Ivonda.
Ivonda, okay.
Just a minute, but I scan the barcode, then I share the presentation. Okay. But can I share the screen right now?
Not yet. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I've seen Ivonda.
Okay, just a minute. Yes. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure. Okay. Okay, is it visible and everybody can see it easily, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Ivonda will be starting right now, Joel.
Good afternoon, Sir Mualimmin and friends. I'm Ivonda, and my Hend will be presenting about concept, process, competency of translation. So let's get started. First, definition of translation. Here, first we have from Oxford English Dictionary, translation, the act or an instance of translating. Here it refers to translation as a process, means the role of translator is taking the text from source language into the another language or target language. And the second here, as written or spoken of the meaning of a word, speech, book, etc. in another language. Here, translation refers as a product, means translation product produced by translator. And the second, from Rabin, process by which a spoken or written utterance takes place in one language, which is intended or presumed to convey the same meaning as previously existing utterance in another language. I think the highlight is convey the same meaning from source language to another language or target language. And next we have from Catford, the replacement of textual material in one language or source language by equivalent material in another language. Replacement here means delivering equivalent meaning from source language to target language by considering some social aspects in target language. And the last is from Newmark, rendering the meaning of text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. And next slide. So basic conceptual items contained in the various definition of translation are first, there an activity consisting and the production of text, similar meaning or effect, previously existing text, and another language and culture. Next slide. Key concept of translation, we all know for sure, translation is divided into two, written and oral. Oral is, we know, as interpreting or interpretation, but here I would like to highlight about written. And next slide. Okay, typically we know that translation, written translation are about like literary translation and technical translation. Okay, first of all, please pay attention to the red words, just in red words. It's literary translation and technical translation. Literary translation actually deals with literary works such as poems or novels, while technical translation deals with text like report or instruction or material and so on. But we also have subtitling and machine translation. Subtitling here refers to audiovisual translation that is written product which we read in conjunction with on image in the screen. I mean on the screen. For example, we have like in cinema, television, DVD, and so on. And about machine translation, a machine translation is computing power and computerized analysis of language to the human's ability to analyze the sense and determine appropriate forms in another language. Next slide. Okay, and according to Roman Jacobson, written translation is divided into three. First, intralingual translation or translation within the same language, which can involve rewording or paraphrase. For example, English UK and English USA. They are same language, but also different. And also interlingual translation. Translation from one language to another language. For example, translation from Arabic to Indonesia or Indonesian to Urdu and so on. And the third is intersemiotic translation. Is translation of the verbal sign by non-verbal sign. For example, music or image. And next, another additional information about translation is translation studies. So first, Jacobson discussion on translation centered around certain key questions of linguistics, including equivalence between items in SL and TL, and notion of transmissibility. Because of that, this issue becomes central research in translation around 1960 to 1970s. And this burgeoning field received the name of translation studies, first written by Netherlands-based scholar James S. Holmes in 1972 in his paper. Next slide. Holmes map out new field like a science, dividing into pure translation studies and applied studies. Pure translation studies encompasses descriptive studies of existing translation and general and partial theories, while applied studies covers translation training, translation aids, translation criticism, and so on. Story in his descriptive translation studies divided tentative general laws. First, the law of growing standardization. Target text generally display less linguistic variation than source text. And the second, the law of interference, means common source text, lexical and synthetic patterns tend to be copied, creating unusual patterns in the TT or target text. And the next.
Assalamu alaikum. Then I'll be taking it from here, Ivonda.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Hend Farouk, and I'm happy to be joining the class with my Indonesian friends for this semester. I was taught by Mualimmin in the first semester. I'm not sure, is my video visible or not? Can you see me, everybody?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, now I'll be talking about the process of translation. What do we mean by process of translation? Is that when a translator tries to translate a work, they need to do something. They need to do some steps so they can translate the work that they intend to translate. So in this slide, we can see the translation process can be defined as the activities that are implemented by when the translator wants to deliver a message. And this is the core about delivering a message. It's all about translation. When we translate something, there's a message that we want to deliver from one language into another. And this message should be delivered accurately as much as we can. So these activities are considered as a system that should be followed by the translator, namely a process, because the process consists of like steps, step 1, step 2, and step 3. According to James Holmes, it's mentioned in the book by Stobu, he argues that the translation process is actually a multi-level process. So we have the first step, then second and third, and they are like branching. So while we are translating sentences, we have a map of the original text in our minds, and at the same time a map of the kind of text we want to produce in the target language. For example, to be able to explain that, if I'm translating into a children literature, so I should be considering the audience, the readers, I mean, that I'm translating for them. If I'm translating from Indonesian into English, or from Indonesian into Arabic, for example, and then I'm translating a text that's specialized for children, I should be considering the language, the age, and the readers. So I shouldn't be speaking or using any language. It should be specialized and suitable for the readers. So about Machali, another opinion is that translation process consists of 3 stages or 3 phases. The first one is analysis, second one transfer, and the third one and the last one, according to Machali, is restructuring. And we're gonna talk about those in detail. So about the process translation, a process translation, we have first the original text, the source language, and then the phase of analyzing, then we draft it, revise it again, finalize it, and then be able to restructure it into the target language. During the analysis and transfer stages, the context of the text can be used to better understand the context of the source language text. The context of the text consists of 3 elements, namely the field. For example, if I'm translating a technical field, mainly about engineering, the tone that's being spoken, is it very serious or is it funny? Is it casual? Is it like being friendly, or is it formal and serial? And the manner is the same, applies to that the manner of the writer, how it's going to be handled when translating that text. After the first stage, namely analysis, a translator will choose to an orientation. Then it's going to be depending on the decision of the translator. He's going to decide he should be using what manner, what behavior, what tone. Is it suitable for the reader, the targeted reader, or not? Then he should be focusing on the purpose of writing, the reader as explained earlier, and the type of text that's gonna be translated. The phase of translation process. In detail, the analysis phase. This is the first step. The translator tries to capture the meaning in the source language. Then it's all about reading. Me as a translator, for example, I try to read the text first and define the meaning, try to capture the delivered meaning or the message that I want to deliver. Then it's going to be impossible for a translator to be able to understand the meaning if he doesn't have linguistic and extra linguistic knowledge, as explained earlier by Ivonda. So linguistics mean everything relevant to the language. I mean, like the structure and the morphology and everything. And extra linguistic is different because extra linguistic is related to the culture of the source language. For example, if I'm translating from Bahasa Indonesia into Arabic, for example, and then I see something like bakso or nasi goreng or even pisang goreng that's not available in Arabic culture, then I should be able to translate that and to deliver the meaning and the culture. If I'm not aware of the Indonesian culture, I won't be able to deliver it as accurate as it should be. So, main purposes of analyzing to understand what it's all about by reading first, a very deep reading to get the meaning that I should be delivering. Then learning the readership. As I explained earlier, for example, if they are children, then we should be considering the age, educational level, educational background, the gender. If I'm reading for a man, male readers, it's gonna be different if I'm writing for translating for women. It's gonna be different. It also consists of the purpose of the writer himself. I should be considering that and be as honest as I could be in delivering his message. Then I should be considering the stylistic scale or degree of language. What do we mean by the stylistic scale or degree of language. In every language, we have stylistic scale that say degrees of formality. For example, we have the official language, formal language, neutral one, informal, to be colloquial, to be slang, and then to use the taboo. And by the word taboo, it means that what's being not accepted in societies. So I try to give examples for that. For example, official language to speak like very official, like for example, it's prohibited to do that. It's prohibited to like to consume the food in the food court or whatever, something like very official language. Then the formal one, hey, it's not allowed to eat here. The neutral one, you're not supposed to eat here. Informal one, don't eat here. Colloquial, hey, you're not supposed to eat here, by the way. Slang, why are you eating here? You ain't supposed to be eating here. The taboo, I'm not supposed to be mentioning that because it's gonna be using bad words. But usually taboo words are the words that are not accepted in any society, are considered to be something that unethical to use those words. So these are the degrees of formality, and in every language they exist with different variations. This stylistic scale was devised by Newmark in 1988. So according to Nababan, because I tried to merge the references me together with Ivonda from the books that you mentioned, Mualimmin, together with other materials to be more comprehensive. So according to Nababan, one of the impossible conditions passed to understand the source language text is meaning. And meaning is all about meaning. If I couldn't capture the meaning that has to do with the culture and the message, then I would never be able to translate accurately. The meaning cannot be understood correctly if it's not combined with the culture of the source language. Then that takes us to the second phase. If we already done with the analysis phase and read the text very well and understood everything about the meaning, then we should move to the second stage, that is transfer. In that phase, the translator tries to convey the meaning from the source language to the target language in depth and in detail. At that step, the translator usually experiences many difficulties. This is all translation about, because now it's your decision. If you are a translator, then you have to decide what techniques you're gonna be used. What is it? Sorry about that because I'm not feeling that well. Then you should be trying to take some decisions. Then, shall I translate it using that technique or shall I translate it using that tone? Then you're gonna decide first. Then you go on with the translation process. Then you're gonna be experiencing many difficulties in that process in transferring meaning, which needs to be overcome by using a translation technique. And that, inshallah, takes us to the next week. Inshallah, it's gonna be presented by our friends. They're gonna solve the difficulties of translation and the transfer process. To be passed, the translator needs to use techniques and strategies, and inshallah, it's gonna be presented next week. Then that takes us to the third stage, restructuring. The resulting translation may need to be corrected. For example, if I translated already the translation, then I need to have a look at it again, proofread it, reread it, and then I find some mistakes that needs restructuring, needs adjustment, needs to be modified. Then I should be adjusting them according to the strategies and techniques I used. Then to make the readability of the translated text highly acceptable by our readers. The translator may consider the style of language used in the source language text and the readers, as I explained earlier. And the vocabulary, of course, many aspects should be considered for the translator to be able to deliver accurate translation. So, another step that was proposed by Nida and Taber that wasn't introduced previously is the evaluation and the fourth step. So mainly there are three steps, but Nida and Taber like presented another step, the fourth one, which is evaluation. That is mainly after you finish everything, you try to evaluate your text. You translate the text. Is it good? Is it acceptable to be read? And is it gonna be a good piece of translation or not? This is what's mainly the evaluation stage is about. So it was proposed by Nida and Taber, and also by Surya Winata and Haryanto, namely evaluation. It's different from restructuring because the resulting translation should be evaluated once again, so it should be labeled as a translated text that can be accepted and highly readable. To be able to sum up that, Ivonda, is this your slide or mine? Ah, it's still
Yours.
mine. Because I can't see the number of slides, you know. So the translation process, to sum up, the translation process is a multi-level one. The translator must carry out several activities to be able to transfer and deliver his message from the source language into the target language as accurate as it should be. Those stages carried out by the translator are called translation process, as I explained, and I hope it's clear. And it consists of three stages, namely analysis of the source language text, transfer, adjustment, and in other opinions, we have a fourth step, which is evaluation. Yeah. Then that takes us again to Ivonda. Right,
Okay,
Ivonda?
the last,
Yes.
yes. Thank you, Han. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no problem.
everyone, the last about competency of translation. Here I understand, I understand competency of translation as a competency that a translator should have to translate a text. Okay, so at least a translator should have intellectual competency and practical competency. Intellectual competency covers sufficient knowledge of source language and target language, knowledge of main problem of the text that is being translated, application of knowledge and skill. And for practical competency covers ability of using sources, example general dictionary, electronic dictionary, terminology dictionary, and informants from translated field. And also ability of recognizing text context. And the last slide. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Ivonda and Hen, for your presentation. It's really good. I think the coverage of your material, is enough. Let's say you have covered all the listed point, on the RPS. So, but again, I'd like to give you some more explanation. I would say some more maybe examples. Yeah. Okay. Would you start from the beginning?
Yes. Would you like me to reshare it again?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. Yes.
You may send to post it in this material as well.
Yes, inshallah. I'll upload it, inshallah. Yes, just a minute.
I think in this, well, I control this one.
Yes, just a minute.
Okay, from the beginning, we have definition of translation. So, when we do translate, we talk about how activities, of translating. Well, actually, translation covering not only written but also spoken, which is sometimes we call it as interpretation, or you as interpreter, But generally speaking, actually, translation covers both. But mostly, people translation means that it's only a written one. So, well, I think there are actually differences, of course, between written translation and spoken translation, because in written translation you have time to look up your dictionary and to check and you see to evaluate and so on. But when we talk about a spoken translation, which is really interpreter, so you don't have much time to do that. So you should really, I mean, your competence is really, really important, and you should be really skillful. Yeah, because let's say being a translator, especially the formal one, interpreter, sorry, uh, in it takes, yeah, maybe it takes years, at least, not only in terms of language, once again, yeah, but also knowledge about everything, yeah, everything spoken. Well, of course, your task as a translator needs effort, yeah, really a good effort, yeah, to be a good interpreter, yeah, or spoken interpreter, translator, yeah, because usually you have only about 1 or 2 seconds, yeah, after the speaker finish, and then you, yeah, it's your turn to explain, yeah. But there are, of course, what's that? Several freedom, of course, yeah, compared to written one, because the point in spoken language usually is as well as there is no misunderstanding. Yeah? I mean, there is no really yeah, different meaning from the social language to the target language. That's fine. So usually we don't really care about the structure, but mainly on the meaning. As far as the meaning message is conveyed, that's fine. In our, of course, once again, in spoken translation, we have more freedom. And maybe this, well, the step is almost the same actually, but takes for a few seconds only. It's different when we do translating a text, yeah, written text. You may have time about 1 hour, even more, yeah, before you translate, and then you have time to revise your translation. But in the spoken one, no, you just listen once, okay, and then after the speaker finish, and then you, yeah, just only 1 or 2 seconds. Yeah, so you have to think about how do you convey the same meaning from the speaker to the hearer, without even without any pause, yeah, just only one or few more seconds. In a Okay, so here, according to the translation, is the act or instance of translating, written or spoken with the meaning of a word, speech, book, etc., in another language. So that's according to the context word English dictionary, which is really maybe not not really what's that complete, yeah, the explanation. But anyway, that's dictionary. So and yeah, there are several dictionaries in. Um, I think the writer here, maybe of the dictionary, is not always a translator. And but anyway, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Then when we talk about translation, actually there are some processes. Yeah. I think usually I remember once when I gave a student to translate, they think that translate is only once. Yeah, it's just like as a product only, not as a process. But you I think Hend and Ivonda has told us about the process of translating. So it takes several steps, like analyzing, understanding the text, and we as, let's say, because we all here are concerned with the language, yeah, focus on the either yeah, let's say well, many of us, I mean, almost all of us speak English, and then maybe it's not really enough to know the English words of the text there, but we should think of the culture as well. Yeah, I think Hend has told us about this one. So understanding the material or the text, yeah, is not only about the language, but other factors, culture, which is really something beyond our own knowledge. Well, I remember once I was given by my senior lecturer to translate related to anthropology texts, anthropological texts. And there is one word which is really, but it talks, the text was about, I think, farmers in some other countries, yeah, no, not in Indonesia. And I was really a bit stuck because how can we imagine, because the farmers' life in Indonesia in the US, let's say, is different. And there are some terms, yeah, which is really not easy to translate. I think last week I've talked a little bit about transability. So some texts are not really easy to be translated because of cultural context. So we may have not only translation but also just like notes, yeah, for your translation. Just like in Indonesia, we got let's say uh, uh, in Japanese, yeah, we got what we call as the city, or some other word we get tuntunan. Well, I don't know. Anyone here knows about Japanese? Let's say it might be Nuro. I don't know for sure, but it means that a baby after certain age, maybe 2 or 3 months, starting grounding, let's say. So start, yeah, put her, put his or her, yeah, foot on the floor, yeah, for the beginning, but it was for the first time, and they try to crawl or to yeah, so what and I think it's not really easy to translate. I don't know, even in Arabic, is there any such activity? That's like a ritual, you see, tuntunan, or I don't know, hand. You might have heard this one. Oh, just a minute, it's raining and I've got something to take out from the lining. Just a minute.
$75% of the जो organization है वो fail हो जाती है.
Well, I'm sorry, yeah, it's raining, so I have something to dry up at outside. So I should take up. Okay, okay. Once again, actually, translation is as a process, yeah, process where spoken or written utterance take place in one language, which is intended or presumed to be conveyed, yeah, in different language, of course, with the equal meaning. Yeah. Well, sometimes the word equality is sometimes it's really a problem as well, because not every word in a certain language is comparable to other languages. So once again, related to the process, it takes, let's say, yeah, it's not as easy. I remember once when I was in undergrad. At that time, we were given text to be translated, and we tend to translate. Yeah, and most of the time we were caught by the structure of the target language, the source language. So means our translation, the result of our translation, not really reflect the structure of target language. So almost every word is translated and so on. So I think at that time we don't know the process, yeah, like restructuring, yeah. So I think Hend has told us about this one. Okay, what next? Okay, here are definition of translation according to some expert, yeah. Now, before that, okay, there are definitions, yeah. Conveyed or stated by Catford. It's really many years ago, 1965. Maybe it's in the old days, yeah. So replacement of textual material in one language or source language by the equivalent textual material in another language. So here, replacement, yeah, textual material in I think, and then Mark, which is really come later in 1988, he choose the word rendering, yeah, instead of replace, yeah, but rendering the meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. So I think here the intention of the writer is considered. I mean, we should think of the intention of the writer, yeah, because the author intended the text. So well, the ideal one is when we read a translated text, there is no different understanding between reading the text in the source language and the target language. But I think if there is still difficulties, is understanding on the language of the target language. So there's still maybe problems, yeah. Because we should, and usually in restructuring, we focus on the structure of the target language instead of the structure of the source language. Let's say like I think last week I talked about like the good morning is even the word good morning. Morning maybe literally good morning just the same as sabahul khair, yeah.
Yes.
Sabah means morning, and then khair means good, so good morning. But okay, but I think related to structure, of course, different, yeah. Sabah al khair, sabah would be, I mean, morning would be the first word, but in Indonesia, selamat pagi, yeah. And what is there? Selamat here. Okay, good. Yeah, so there is no, actually, even the simple word, yeah. Uh, there are some differences. I remember once, it's really an example like the one in Bahasa and then in English. In Bahasa we call it papa, ibu-ibu. Papa means fathers, and then ibu mean mothers, and then they say in English, fathers, fathers, mothers, mothers. Well, it is not a matter of translating word per word, of course, yeah. But we may say that anyway, because if we don't have the structure in English, we never say mothers, mothers, or fathers, fathers. Okay, that's funny, and then
Yes.
and there are also example of funny funny experiences related to people speaking English. Even let's say well, once I saw a film short fragment, I think, yeah. They say Mister, Mister. Okay. Using Mister, I think as all we know that with Mister is followed by the names. Yeah, use the last name. But if you don't know the name, you may say Sir or Madam. But in many cases in Indonesia, they said that Mister, yeah, without any name. I mean, yeah, because they don't know the structure. Or they just translate, okay, the words, yeah, from English to Indonesia. Even in bahasa, when someone greetings you, let's say when someone thank you so much, terima kasih, sama-sama. Okay. And then we translate it into English. Thank you so much. Same, same. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we just sama-sama. Mungkin sama means same. So repeat it twice. Same, same. Okay. This is only an example. That language not always has equal expression. I mean, when we do translation, we should think of this one, not only the words, but also the culture as well. Uh, so here, Newmark focus on rendering. So not really placing, but rendering the meaning of a text, yeah, in the source language, into another language in the target language, yeah. But and also it's really important the as the author intended the text. So that is the intention of the author, yeah, when he or when she writes the text. And again, yeah, here key concept translation. Translation can be written or oral, and then oral here, um, yeah, interpreting and interpretation, right?
Yes, Pa.
Yeah, because yeah, it's yeah, just a minute. It's covered by the box here. Oh yeah. So interpreting and interpretation. Well, actually, there is a little bit different, yeah. But sometimes considered or in some texts, yeah, it is almost the same, yeah. Interpretation sometimes related to from one source language to another source language, yeah. Interpretation, yeah. So he interpreted, let's say, um, because sometimes a spoken one, yeah, spoken language, sometimes it is confusing, sometimes, yeah, it's confusing. So what does it mean? Yeah, so someone may interpret, yeah. uh, um, but again, when we do interpretation, as is a bit different. But I think mostly interpreting belong to oral translation. Okay, next. Yeah, Hen.
Yes, Pa.
Yeah, what is the next?
Would you like me to switch it? Because I think you have the control, right?
Oh, I see. Where to
Yes.
go then?
Just enter. I think it's gonna
Oh,
be switched
just a
to the
moment.
next one. Yes.
I see. Okay, translation is a very broad notion which can be understood in many different ways. For example, one may talk of translation as a process or as a product. Once again, yeah, I think translation can be as a product, can be a process, and identify such subtype as literary translation, technical translation, subtitling, machine translation, and so on. So I think about subtitling usually uh, when yeah, a movie, yeah, movie played in a different language, let's say from English, and then there is subtitling, yeah, with translation that the spoken one, yeah, usually it's on the screen, yeah, subtitling, and then machine translation. I think nowadays in international meetings they have machine translation as well. So everybody will listen to his own language, yeah. So they're using machine translation. Uh, it doesn't move.
Yes, silakan Pak. Just some.
Yeah. Okay. Roman Jacobson, which is really American linguist, who is really he makes distinction between three type of translation. So intralingual translation mean translation within the same language. So which can involve rewording, and paraphrase. I think sometimes it is really good to when we do translate from one language to another, we may do intralingual translation first, just to make sure that the message, yeah, and then so let's say one sentence can be expressed, can be conveyed in a different sentence, yeah, the same meaning the same, and maybe the new one is easier to translate other than when we translate the original text, yeah. So you enter translation within the same language, but can in rewording. So we rewrite or rewording, yeah, or paraphrase the text that we are going to translate. And then interlingual, this is the basic one. We translate from one language or from source language to target language. And then intersemantic translation of verbal sign and non-verbal sign, for example, music or image. Well, I think this the last one, semantic translation, is covering not only what's that? Not only language basically, yeah, because verbal sign, yeah, is translated into non-verbal sign. So from spoken one to the written one and so on. Like music, yeah, that's kind of intersemantic translation. And then yeah, related to process of translation, once again, what is the meaning of translation process means? It's activities, yeah, activities that are implemented, yeah, by the translator to deliver the message from source language to target language. And usually we call it as the process of translation. And there are several steps actually. Holmes and mentioned that translation process is actually multi-level process. Not only one process, but multi-level process. While we are translating sentences, we have a map of the original text in our mind, and at the same time, a map of the kind of text we want to produce in target language. So once again, usually or mostly the structure of the source language and the target language is not the same. Just like when we translate from English to Arabic, maybe, or from English to Bahasa Indonesia, the structure is not always the same, and even let's say in terms of sentence, yeah. In Bahasa Indonesia, we may have a noun plus noun, yeah, as a sentence. But in English, we should have a verb, yeah, in a sentence. Let's say in Bahasa, we may say, dia mahasiswa. Okay, dia means he or she, mahasiswa students. He is student. But English, we should say he, and that is word there. I mean, verb is. Yeah, he is a student. Yeah, in the form of is here. Yeah, and is it depends on the subject. If like for he is, but if I am, am. Okay, they are. But in Indonesia, we may say dia guru. It's okay. It's the structure of sentence in Indonesia. It's possible to have noun and noun, yeah. So there is no verb there. But in English, we should have subject. And we should think of this one when we do a translation, the structure of the target language. Okay. And then mahali or machali mahali. Usually in Indonesian we say mahali with ha. Yeah. That translation process consists of 3 stages like analysis, transfer, and then restructuring. So at least even for transfer, you may have not only once. Yeah. Let's say again maybe analysis, transfer, and then restructuring, and then once again we analyze the result of our structuring, and then we transfer again, and then it depends. Once again, can be the restructuring for the second time. If it is good, then we may stop there. But usually in most cases that it's not enough to be only one line here, analysis, transfer, and structuring. Sometimes we have to analyze the result of structuring as well. So this is we analyze again the result of structuring, and then we make transfer again, and we will have a look there whether it is needed to restructure it or not. And if it is so, I mean, if it needs revising, we have to revise, and then we come to analysis again. So just like cycles. Yeah. So just not only one line here, but can be cycles. Okay, this is just like the process by using the diagram there. This is the original text, and then we analyze the original text, and then we drafting. And we try to translate in let's say the first version of translation, and then later we will have a look there. This is drafting here in a target language, yeah. And then after drafting, we look at it again, we analyze again, yeah. We revise, yeah, we revise, and then after revise, we finalizing, looking at the revised one whether it's good or not. Otherwise, should be redrafting. Yeah. reanalyzing, yeah, redrafting, and so on, yeah. So this is only if only one step, yeah, one cycle, yeah. So from original text, analyzing, drafting, and then revising and finalizing and translating. This may be just like a product, but in fact, even our product can be yeah, analyzed again, redrafting, and then of course revised. Yeah, one of the point that is really needed when we analyze and transfer the context, yeah, of the text. Yeah. Well, in many cases, I remember once when I was a student, yeah, I was given a text, but it's related to chemical process because the one gave me your text to translate was a student of chemical engineering or something. And then we got, well, maybe in terms of the language, yeah, we know, but there are other terms, yeah, other terms which is really used only in that subject in the field. So so general dictionary is not enough. So we should have special dictionary for, let's say, dictionary for chemical engineering, or let's say dictionary for petroleum, which is really sometimes too specific. Yeah, and we as someone who learn a language, yeah, we just know the language, but we don't know the practical terms, yeah, in the field, yeah. Let's say, yeah, if the text is about culture, maybe it's easy. Yeah, we can guess, we can give a map of that one. But let's say if the structure is about health or medicine, yeah, we should know, we should have the good knowledge, yeah, about this one as well. So I think being interpreter or being translator, yeah, should be really multi-talented. Yeah. So you know a lot of yeah, a lot of culture, a lot of text, a lot of let's say, I think need experience. Yeah. Just a minute. I have a call from Pak Agus. Assalamualaikum Pak Agus. Iya, ini masih ngajar S2. Iya. Mulai jam 1. Nanti jam 3 ya. Oke. Iya. Iya. Ini sebentar lagi lah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I've got a call from Pak Agus related to yeah, activities in their faculty. When yeah, here I think it's really important. Yeah. The content of the text consists of 3 elements here, namely field, yeah. The field, I mean, let's say like literature or science, yeah. Or about the tone, yep. The tone, I mean the, what is it? The related to expression, and usually, let's say the language used in a yeah, certain condition, yeah, especially the spoken one, and the tone also related to the attitudes, yeah, of at least what is found in the text, yeah, and then also manner. After the first stage, namely analysis, the reciter must choose an orientation to the source language or target language, with focus on the purpose of writing, the reader, and the type of text being translated. So there are 3 focuses. We may focus on the writing. Also, we focus on the reader, because when we do translate, we should think of the readers of your text and also the type of the text. Yeah, I think we again we talk about the phases or the steps, yeah, of the process of translation. Okay, once again analysis. Yeah, here the translator try to capture the meaning, yeah, of the text in the source language, and then we try, yeah, to have a look, yeah, in the target language. It is impossible for a translator to understand the meaning of such language if he doesn't have linguistic and extra-linguistic knowledge. One again, when we analyze the text, we should have at least two kind of knowledge, either out of both linguistics and extra-linguistics. Okay, linguistic here means related to the structure of a language. Yeah, not only structure, the vocabulary in their context when the words or when the language is used, and extra linguistic related to the culture of the source language. So we should have once again extra linguistic, just like the knowledge, yeah, of the material, yeah, translated, and then next the first one once again analysis, and then okay, when we analyze a text, at least there are 3 points to cover. The first one, understanding what it's about. I mean, we should really understand what is on the text, yeah. And then we think of the reader who will read your translation, your translated version. You may think of how old are they all? They are, yeah, what education and say gender as well. At least based on your what's it? Expected readers, yeah. And then we may think of also the stylistic scale, the degree of the language. And then here, stylistic scale related to degree of formality, covering official. I think the official language, the official language is different from colloquial, and then formal. Well, usually maybe official is the highest, and the second one formal, and then neutral. Neutral means in between, but then there is informal, formal, and then beneath that is colloquialism, and then slang and taboo. Slang usually only used at a certain circle, certain group. Then taboo is the language considered rude to to be mentioned, to be spoken. And yeah, I think once again that well the yeah the main point of translation is actually yeah, the meaning of the text. Yeah, we transfer the text, yeah, the meaning of the target language, source language into the target language. So meaning is the focus, not structure. The meaning can be understood correctly if it is not combined with the culture of the source language. So once again, when we do we try to understand a text, yeah, it's needed. I mean, we need also understand the culture. It's much better because understanding the structure without the culture, yeah, sometimes it's misleading. And Then once again, second is transfer. In this stage, translator try to convey the meaning from source language into the target language. Again, yeah. The translator usually always find difficulties, experience difficulties in the process. In usually we may overcome the problem by using certain techniques, translation techniques, which is really suitable, and they're for the use in the source language text. And the last one, restructuring once again. After we analyze and then we transfer and then restructure. Well, if only one cycle, maybe that's enough. Restructuring means resulting translation need to be corrected, based on the structure of the target language. Oke, di sini yang lebih penting adalah hasil terjemahan itu harus sesuai strukturnya dengan bahasa target, ya. So there should be adjustment, ya. There's adjustment to make your translation is readable. The translator must consider the style of the language. We should also consider style as well. When we talk about let's say literature text, like poem or it's really not easy to translate a poem. We may got the meaning, but we may miss the form or miss the rhyme and so on. Must consider the style of language used in the source language text, and that it is intended to be able to use the required vocabulary. Well, even using vocabulary, using a number of choices there, it's really needed. In once again, if you want to translate from one text, and then you work together with several people in one group, I think restructuring is really needed because we have to be consistent with the term used. So if the translator, if there are more than one translator, so there should be one who, let's say, make the whole translation from the beginning to the end is in a good one. So the term use is consistent from beginning to the last. Okay, I'm sorry. I got a cough. Actually, this morning I got flu as well. But we hope that it's not coronavirus.
Inshallah.
We don't. I've taken medicine anyway. And maybe it is as many people say that Omicron it's easier to spread out, but maybe the effect is not as deadly as the previous one.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all, Bu Hend, and Ivonda.
Yes.
Okay, we may have some question from the other group, from Safaras or Nurul or from Hazel, and maybe from who's the other one? Sadaf, from Stella.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any question related to this one? I think you have tried to cover all. As it is covered in the RPS.
We tried our best, but
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Hend and Ivonda. Okay. Okay. Who will be the presenters for the next turn? Either who was there? I think last week we come to an agreement. Yeah, Hend and Ivonda will be the first, and who will be the next? Hello.
yes, but yes.
Who will be the next? Yeah.
I think
I'm not sure.
me and Francisca, sir.
Francisca.
Yes, sir. Yes, and me, Nurul.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And yeah, we just follow the one from the yeah. Have you signed in for the attendance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me check anyway. Uh, yeah, just a moment. To check your. But everybody is here, right? Semua masuk ya? Yes. Ada yang belum ya? Sadaf ya? And Stella. You haven't signed in? Sadaf?
Yes, I was unable to scan.
Okay.
And
I'll help you then.
okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I've done for Sadaf and also Stella. Okay, thank you. Well,
Thank you, sir.
for the next meeting, Francisca and Nurul would be the next presenters.
Yes, sir.
For the next meeting. Okay, once again, thank you. If we don't have any activities, I'll join a meeting conducted by the program. Yeah, this master program led by Pak Agus. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a great day.
You too, Pak. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Goodbye, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.